Do you remember Ghost Adventures? Coming over to Ireland and going to a property called Loftus Hall. I had seen an article back in June that Loftus Hall has actually gone on the market. And there's a new news article released today from the Irish Times on Loftus Hall itself. The headline is Loftus Hall Spooky Pile with a haunting history for 2.5 million euros. The house is situated in County Wexford, in the Hook Peninsula, and it sits on 63 acres of property. One of Ireland's spooky homes, a vast mansion with 97 windows that is said to have hosted the devil, is on the market for 2.5 million euros, having traded for some years as a after dark tourist attraction with ghostly goings on. Here's the flippin' problem. This mansion is 2.5 million. To make it a viable investment, with 2.5 million quid is a lot of money, you would have to be doing a little bit more than just tours and haunted tours and paranormal investigations, because you can imagine the amount of maintenance that to upkeep a house of that size, you know. It is said to be haunted by the devil, in a paranormal story surrounding it, and a young woman. The devil's story was that a stranger arrived at the house after a stormy night where there was difficulty sailing, and it was this sailor that sought refuge in Loftus Hall. It was the owners were out at the time. There was somebody else looking after the property at the time, and they invited this guy into the house, and it was said that this stranger fell in love with the daughter, and one night they were having a game of cards around a table, and one of them dropped a card and saw, when they picked up the card, that this guy had hoofed feet, and he vanished up off the floor and went out through the ceiling. Now, Ghost Adventures have been to this location and many other paranormal investigating teams. There is many different variations of the story around Loftus Hall, but the most notorious room in this house is the tapestry room. There are many variations of the tale, but in short, it takes place in a dark and stormy night when a stranger came and calling, and he and Tutankhamun's daughter, Lady Anne, spent hours playing together in the tapestry room. During a game, she is said to have bent down to retrieve a fallen card, only to spy cloven hoofs at the end of the stranger's legs. She screamed, prompting the stranger to disappear through the ceiling in a puff of smoke. Lady Anne never recovered, and after her death, the home became haunted. The other variation of this story was that the family actually were not at the home at the time, and a an, a friend of the family, another family, was looking after the house at the time when this incident happened. But there is, with a lot of these stories, a lot of these haunted stories have variations. But with all variations, the big question is there any element of truth? There were sightings of a young woman and claims of poltergeist disturbances, so much so that Protestant owners called in a local Catholic priest, Father Thomas Brothers, a tenant on their estate, to perform an exorcism according to the website Abandoned Ireland. So the house dates back to 1766, and it is built on the site of Redmond Hall, on the same site. Fast forward a couple of hundred years, and the Victorian mansion became a convent and then a hotel in need of refurbishment. It came to the market in 2008, asking around 1.7 million euros, but the subsequent sale fell through. It appeared on the market again in 2011 at a lower price, at 625,000, which is a very, very cheap price, I must say. And the present owners, brothers Aidan and Shane Quigley, jumped at this chance. They were farmers and builders whose family business, Neville Quigley's Homes, built a stew of estates, including College Garden and Southern Garden in Carlow Town. So these were developers, Aidan and Shane Quigley, who purchased that for 625,000, which is pretty cheap for what they bought. It says here the house needed a significant investment, and Aidan did a diploma in repair of historical structures and buildings at West Deal College of Arts and Conservation in the UK to better understand how to restore it. Now he says he was better off not knowing the extent of the work required before buying the property. This is the thing with big properties like that. They become money pits if they're left in any way disrepair at all, The house... this is a quote from Mr. Quigley. I wouldn't have bought it. It was costly, time consuming and unrewarding from a public point of view, for much of the works remains invisible to the naked eye. Loftus Hall was built by John Henry Wellington Graham Loftus, the 4th Marquis of Ely, in 1870, and boasts plasterwork by John Hogan and Sons of Great Brunswick Street, now Pierce Street. Mr. Quigley claims he spent 1.5 million, and this staircase took up a lot of that. Another quote: it was about conserving the sense of dilapidation. It's what the film crews and the public wanted. Most of the property's 97 windows remain boarded up. For example, he claims to have spent a further 250,000 on the walled garden. I always wondered about the boarded up windows. Aidan spent the first 6 months sleeping in the house because he couldn't get insurance for it, and opened the property to the public, offering tours of it and of the restored walled garden, as well as after dark excursions where attendees hope to catch glimpses of the Lady Anne or the devil himself. Whoever buys this property is going to need deep pockets. To replace the windows could cost over 350,000 quid, euros. Quigley estimates, while hotelier Francis Brennan, who visited the house for his RTE TV show at your service, put the overall renovation cost at 20 million euros. That is a lot. You see, this is the thing. You know, the asking price is 2.5 million, and here's an estimate of 20 million quid. So somebody that's going to be interested in this property, I'm not convinced that doing haunted tours and haunted investigations and as it's solely as a film set is going to cut it. I just don't know. Could it possibly be turned back into a hotel? Is the haunted activity going to affect the hotel business? That's the big question. There's lots and lots of questions around this. While visitors may report a cold feeling in one or more of the rooms, probably because there's no windows, it is not until new owners take up residence that they are likely to manifest themselves, explains the Reverend David Pierpoint, Archdeacon of Dublin, one of the country's best regarded exorcists. A practice, he says, is now called deliverance. So instead of the old word was exorcist, now it's called deliverance. It says here, Quigley has already moved on and hopes to have Loftus Hall, a former mill in the village of Camphill, open shortly, offering eats and accommodation. He is selling the house privately, seeking 2.5 million euros. So, we've seen it on Ghost Adventures, and, it's gonna need considerable amount of investment. But if somebody can restore this, it is a fabulous property. I've shown the pictures there, as I'm speaking. So, yeah, that's the. It is deemed by many as Ireland's most haunted house. So if you have £2.5 million down the back of your sofa, make sure you have a little bit of more spare change to fix it up, because it's going to need some work. I just thought I would share that with you, and it's a pretty fascinating piece of property, you know. A lot of history, a lot of haunted history in that, and that I didn't know anything about Loftus Hall until I actually watched Ghost Adventures. So yeah, um, what future does Loftus Hall have in the line of the paranormal industry? We wait and see. We wait and see. Folks, I'll see you in the next video.